3, 2, 1. Quan Fon the Science Man. Quan Fon the Science Man. Quan Fon the Science Man.
Cloning's cool.
Quan Fon the Science Man.
Cloning is making a genetic copy.
Quan Fon the Science Man. Quan
T-minus 7 seconds.
Quan Fon the Science Man.
Hey, what's up?
It's time.
Oh, starting now? Welcome, and my name is Quan Fon, the Science Man. In this upcoming decade, starting with 2010, we are beginning a new era, the Clone Age. In the Clone Age, adventures in the new world of reproductive technology, Laurie Andrews, a leading expert in this field, describes the new breakthrough in helping others make the greatest miracle of all, a baby. This book describes how procreation moves from the bed to the laboratory. I know most of you are like, hey, why are you talking about sex and fertilization now? Well, for some of you, yeah, maybe fertilization is not important to you for maybe 10 or so years. But for some of you, maybe others, it's pretty important now. So, what I'm trying to say is, it's better that you are all educated in what's going on right now in reproductive technology, so you are all well informed. You need to know the ethical, moral, and legal aspects, as well as the biotechnological parts of this new method.
IVF stands for in vitro fertilization. What basically happens is through surgery, drugs, or donation, doctors get eggs and place them in a petri dish. The eggs are then fertilized by sperm from the husband or a donor, and the petri dish is then incubated for 3 days when it will be strong enough to be implanted. Implantation of an embryo occurs either in the mother where the egg came from or in a surrogate mother.
So when you count it up, a child can be born into this world with up to 5 possible parents. The sperm donor, the egg donor, the surrogate mother, and the adoptive couple. Now, there's great debate going on as to what is the new definition of the word mother. Is the mother the one who cares for you and raises you up? Or is it the one that shares your genes? Well, in this case, who should get custody of the resulting child? The surrogate mother, pregnant with the child, or the mother from whence the egg came from as a genetic mother?
Most sperm donors are young men, mainly medical students, who don't have children themselves. They do to help others, and for the average of $50 they get per sperm donation. However, later in their lives, they start to feel remorseful for having a child in the world that they will never know or see. They feel, on an emotional and mental basis, connected to that child by virtue of sharing genes. On the other side, the kids experience great trauma, feeling that their whole life has been a lie, and that half of them are missing. When some learn that their daddy isn't their biological father, they lose great respect for that father and even begin disobeying him based on the fact that he's not their real father.
It is also important to learn how the infertile mothers feel. Upon giving up contraceptives, it must come as a surprise to realize that they can't conceive. The longing of infertile couples to have a baby is very sad. Previous generations had fertility rites, like intercourse while the north wind was blowing, is a sure way to produce a male. It is especially sad for them to see some mothers abort children that they don't want, while the infertile couples are desperate and would do anything to have that child.
The step of anything is to get all the required materials. While sperm is easy to collect, eggs require surgery known as laparoscopy. Some women have actually died from this procedure, while others died when their ovaries literally exploded from too much hormonal stimulation from fertility drugs.
Trying to ensure a higher success rate, some doctors implant multiple embryos, believing not all will develop. Fertility drugs can also be used to make women release multiple eggs at once. 1 in 3 IVF treatments results in multiple babies. For example, doctors implant 5 embryos expecting only 1 to develop, but end up with 4 babies due to the increase in better treatment and care over time.
Of course, pregnancy with multiple fetuses puts more danger on the mother and the children. Due to the cramped space in the mother and the sharing of nutrients, many end up with physical and mental retardation. Study also shows that sibling rivalry normally appears more frequently in these cases, for the lack of individual attention from each child, not to mention having to share the same birthday parties, can be quite taxing. Though some doctors implant multiple embryos, not to mention the chance that some split into identical twins, study shows that chances of pregnancy are the most optimal spot at implementation of only 2 embryos.
The main result is that many require governmental money and welfare to take care of them, due to retardation and lack of money of the parents to support them. If you remember Octomom, she's a good example of the multiple implementations of embryos for IVF. There's a new policy out there that some scientists try to offer. That's called selective reduction. This basically says that if there are multiple babies, doctors can terminate a select number to take the baby count down to a better number, like 2 or maybe 3. Most mothers don't do this from the motherly love they feel, but there is a scientific basis for this method, which indicates more safety for both the babies and the mothers to not have too many of them.
Though most teachers don't allow human error as a legitimate source of error, it does happen in this field. Some of the donated sperm and eggs not only contain harmful genes and such, but also carry STDs that put the mother and children at high risk. A mix-up in sperm can occasionally happen, as it did in Florida once, where a couple went IVF and had twins, but blood testing showed that the babies were not the husband's son. The husband was really upset when realizing that his sons were not really his sons at all. Another mishap occurred from not cleaning the pipette between uses. The result was fraternal twins of 2 different races of 2 different fathers. In these examples, it was immediately obvious that something was off because they were interracial couples. Given that 99% of IVF patients are white couples, it could be very possible that mix-up occurs without the couple ever knowing that when they're bringing home the child that is not completely theirs.
Scientists have the right to research, but governmental limitations on human cloning research are an attempt to limit human knowledge, which by itself is demeaning to human nature. The United States has a constitutional protected right to make reproductive decisions, though the extension of this right to reproductive technology has been hard fought. The law normally addresses new questions of precedence. For example, cars initially used laws from horses and buggies, but this reproductive technology with human embryos is completely new, making it difficult to create new laws.
The debate revolved around the answer to this question. There was no question that a married couple had a right to determine whether and when to bear a child through intercourse, but did a couple also have the right to decide how they would bear a child?
This new reproductive technology is just in its youth and has greater implications in the future. Now, how will this technology be used? Well, some worry that this technology will soon replace sex as a method to reproduce and make babies. Imagine the future. If a couple decides tonight is the night to make a baby, the wife goes to the bathroom to put something on and get ready. But what really happens is they actually drive to a fertility facility where the receptionist asks what kind of baby do they want. In the parents' quest to better the life of their children, will couples want access to egg and sperm from high IQ donors? To genetic engineering to protect children from disease? Or human cloning as the ultimate chance to provide progeny with favorable traits? Embryos could be banked and stored frozen, sold to people who want children with certain traits. The parents will be able to customize what eyes, sex, hair, size, maturity, immunity to certain diseases, and even IQ. Though I'm sure sex will never be eradicated as an activity, it can be replaced by this as a method for making babies. This facility is like, I don't know, a Build-A-Bear workshop where you can customize everything, except it should be more appropriately named as a Build-A-Baby workshop, where the greatest babies are made. Now, the book warns against total dependency of reproduction on this new technology from happening. It may seem unlikely now, but it is highly plausible. Just think about it. With the power scientists now hold, combined with the research and knowledge they will gain in the future, genetic engineering and IVF will evolve into people able to pick what traits they want. Imagine the CIA, let's say, ordering hundreds of babies with the best traits for whatever it is they do. Or the military, making an army from this method to have the top guys there. Well, yeah, it reminds some of us of the Attack of the Clones, but watch out, it's certainly feasible and can happen. And we'll end on that note. I was happy to be here to explain to you about IVF and the latest in reproductive technology, the moral and legal issues, and the future it could bring. Now, this is Quan Phong, the Science Mon, signing out. Thank you. Make the greatest miracle of all, a baby. This book describes how pre-creation moves from the bed to the laboratory. I know most of you are like, hey, why are we talking about sex? Sex as a method to reproduce and make babies. Imagine the future. If a couple decides, hey, tonight is the night to make a baby.